LinkedIn, I can say, okay, cool. What industry do I want? What is the company size? What job title? How long have they been there? I can target by their company revenue as well, the number of team members in there. So I'm like, I'll pay $30 to $50 for that lead every single day because I'm putting my ad in front of the exact right person that I'm looking for.
One of my favorite aspects of LinkedIn is something that not a lot of people talk about, and that is LinkedIn advertising. I love LinkedIn advertising, and do you know why? Because it's perfect for a micro gamble. A lot of the other advertising platforms, you have to spend an arm and a leg just to be able to see whether it worked or not. With LinkedIn, you can go really, really far, really, really quickly, which is why we're so lucky today to have with us Matt Clark. Now, Matt Clark is the founder of The Virtual Edge, which is a company that specializes in helping coaches, consultants, knowledge professionals build leads, attract clients, book meetings, sign better quality people into their world, largely via the power of LinkedIn. Matt, how are you?
I am doing amazing, actually, coming at you from Thailand at the moment.
I know you mentioned before that you've got it blurred out because you're in the hotel room and you don't want to give too much away, but what's been going on in your world? Why are you in Thailand right now?
Well, my wife and I actually had a decision to make at the beginning of last year where we were living in South Africa, and the decision was stay in South Africa and buy the house that we were living in, or sell everything and go travel the world. So we took option number two, right? We bought some investment properties and we took option number two, and we've been traveling. So, in the last 13 months, we've done 10 countries, I think about 38 different cities. And we decided for December, well, let's go to Thailand instead of doing the whole, family Christmas and New Year's and everything. Let's go to Thailand instead. That was on the 14th of December, and we just haven't left yet. It's just awesome.
It is a wonderful, wonderful place. My business partner, Simon, is actually in Thailand at the same time as well. He left in around December. He also embraced the digital nomad lifestyle many, many moons ago. And now he's got 3 children and he's still doing it. I don't know how, but he's managing to pull it off somehow.
I tell you what, the quality of life and the affordability here is next level. I mean, we worked out that while we've been traveling here in Thailand, it's actually cheaper for us to live out of a hotel, right? Most of the places are like 4 or 5-star hotels that you can get in Aussie dollars for between 70 and $100 a night, right? Breakfast included, so you don't need to worry about cooking or anything. And eating out every single day is cheaper than renting an Airbnb and cooking for yourself, and you don't have to worry about cleaning.
Yeah, so we can focus on the business. Work
exactly.
on the business rather than in the business. Now, let's talk about LinkedIn. So you have a process, a formula, which is about generating B2B leads in 3 steps. So what I want to do is I want to give you access to the controls, and you can take over the slide, the tools to be able to share some slides. And awesome. I want to see it. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. 100%. Let me share my screen. Make sure there's no funny business going on there. Okay, so before I jump into the process, and I want to kind of pre-frame this, is that I'm not going to be able to teach you guys how to build and run ads in the next 30, 45 minutes. So what I want to make sure is that I want to get you the most ready so that when you do press play on your ads, that they're a success right from the beginning. Okay, so just to share some numbers with you. So last year we were looking at our numbers, and we kind of looked from it was from September to September. So this kind of ended in September. We did 3,657 registrations, 6,694 leads generated. We added $650,000. This is US, by the way, with an ad spend of $90,000. So we had a 7.2 times return on ad spend over the year. Now, that's just
really, I was going to say, what's really interesting about that is I've heard people say it again and again that you can't get webinar registrations from LinkedIn. You've just proven that wrong. So big tick there.
Absolutely. And I'll show you 2 ways in which we actually get that through what those funnels look like. And so the interesting thing was that this was just on the ad spend, and we were kind of like messing around a little bit and, tweaking and refining and perfecting this thing. And that excludes all the revenue that came from all the organic outreach that we did, the joint ventures, the partnerships, the separate webinars that we run. This was just our own ad spend directly on this. And this was even excluding what we did for some of our clients as well. So this was just some numbers. So, get excited, because the lead costs that we got were anywhere from $12 to about $50 per lead. And these are super targeted leads, which I'm going to show you in a moment how targeted we actually get. So if you haven't got excited about LinkedIn ads just yet, continue watching. I'm going to show you how to do it. So we call this process the Rainmaker system. And specifically on the ad side of things, it happens in 3 stages. There are 3 core components that are critical to success. And I'm talking about this in the frame of B2B coaches, consultants, agencies, thought leaders, info sellers. These are people who've typically got a high ticket service or product that they sell. They're trying to get people on a sales call. They're experts in what they do. So they've generally got a lot of experience, and the trouble comes in as well. Like, I do all this stuff. How do I package it and market it? How do I present that one thing that people want to buy or they're going to take action on, because I can do so much stuff, right? So I don't know if that resonates with what your guys go through, but we see this all the time. Okay. So the first piece to this puzzle is your audience. Okay. And some of these are going to sound obvious, but I'm going to dive deeper into them to really explain how this works. So the first piece is the audience. So step 1 is dial in your audience. The second piece is your offer. And the third piece is your ad funnels. All right. So when we look at each one of these, I'm going to break them down into what needs to happen in each one of these stages. And this is the high level overview. And, obviously, like I said, we've got limited time, so I can't dive too deep into this. But each of these breaks down into 2 distinct parts. So when we look at your audience, we're looking at who are the right clients. Now, the reason I say the right clients is because most of the B2B coaches, consultants that we work with, they have an idea. So they typically, what they're doing is they're selling their service to someone. They're not thinking about what is the outcome that that service provides and who should they be targeting for that. So I'll give you an example. One of our clients that we're working with now, they run a cybersecurity consulting company, right? So they sell software and they do consulting as well. They've been typically targeting the DevSec team, right? So the people who are actually running the cybersecurity. And so when we looked at it, we're like, okay, we can target those people and we can speak to them, but are they the decision makers? Do they have the budget? Can they give you the go ahead, or do they have to go a level up and a level up? So what we did was we changed the targeting for them to focus on the CEOs. Now, I'll show you in a moment what difference that makes in the message itself. But essentially where they were going is like, here's tools to take your cybersecurity to the next level, versus an ad that runs as, here's a 10-point checklist for your DevSec team that is going to achieve this outcome. So now you're speaking to the CEO who's downloading it. You get the CEO's contact details, starting with that conversation, and then he's then driving it versus the DevSec team coming up to him and saying, hey, we've got this new idea. Can we look at budget?
And there's another element about this as well too. Obviously, you want to hit the decision maker, yay.
Yeah.
But I also know that when you're selling the outcome, there are clients that are willing to pay more because the outcome's going to deliver more profit to them. I mean, like we had someone come through our world called Sarah, and she was targeting anyone and everyone with a pulse, and she was charging $500 a month for her services. She was able to focus on one specific target audience, which were actually wineries, marketing consultant targeting wineries. And then suddenly she was charging $2,400 a month. So she times 5 her rates just by finding a better quality client by focusing on the outcomes that she could deliver, and some clients can pay more.
100%. I mean, we had a career coach that we were working with, and he did amazing work on his brand, had a LinkedIn services page, getting tons of leads. And same thing, like, who's your ideal client? Well, anyone that can pay me, And he was charging $2,000, and how he was delivering was 10 one-on-one sessions. So it's like completely not scalable, right? So we restructured his offer. We focused on one specific kind of client that he was looking for that was earning a certain amount of income. We then looked at the results that he was giving the clients that he was working with. And we saw on average, his clients were increasing their income by 31%. Right? So when you're talking to someone that's earning 140K a year and you're going to tell them, right, you come work with me, I'm going to increase that by 31%, that's a big jump. So we focused on those guys, changed his offer to a $5,000 offer where he does 2 one-on-one calls. So 2.5 times his pricing, cut down all those one-on-one calls. He went from 20K a month and being like flat out busy, couldn't even spend time with his wife and his kids, to hitting $100,000 months in 2 months.
Yeah.
Right. And having more time than before. And also because he had more time, he was able to work with his clients better. And then his results increased by a further 11%.
We could talk about this all day. We call that the high no-brainer. Everyone has this complicated thing that makes it difficult to people to buy. You created a high no-brainer. All right. What's the second piece of the puzzle when we're talking about our audience here?
The second piece is called layered targeting. Right. So when we are looking at it, most people will say, okay, I'm looking for CEOs. Right. And I'm going to break down in a moment in an actual diagram what that layered targeting looks like. So I'm going to put a pin in that one for a moment. Okay. The next piece in your offer is your message. Okay. So when we look at the right client, we want to look at what is that message that is going to speak to them. So we're looking for their pains, their fears that are keeping them up at night, their goals and desires, and then aligning that message to solve the problem for that person. So the mistake that most people make is that they talk about, if we look at management consultants, make your team more effective, but they're not make your team more productive, but they're not using the language that the CEO is using. So the CEO might say, well, my problem is, I want to be productive and working together and all the rest. My problem is I've got these two departments. I've got my sales and my delivery departments who are not talking to each other. And what's happening is my clients are getting a bad experience and we're losing money coming through there. And that's that message to market alignment. And I'm going to show you 2 ways in which we get that as well. So there's a manual way and there's a way by running ads. And the second piece is the CMO, which is your cold market offer, right? Most B2B coaches, consultants, service providers, they have, when I ask them, what is your closing rate? They'll tell me 80%. I'll say, okay, where do you get your leads from? Referrals, right? Well, of course it's going to be 80%. Yeah, of course it's going to be 80%. People, they're like literally dropping into your lap. They know the price and everything already. But what they don't have is an offer that can speak to people who don't know them, right? A cold market offer. And this is critical when you're running ads or when you're doing cold outreach or whatever it is. We've found that most people who go in with a high ticket offer, I'll give you an example of this. One of our clients, Mark, he was charging $75,000 a year to work with him, right? Been in the game for 40 years, got all the experience to back it up. But his problem was he had these long sales cycles, and one of 2 things would happen. Either, he'd have like 0 for 6 months and then all of them would come in at the same time, or he'd pick up a client, get super busy, forget about the marketing. When the project finishes, he's like, oh, damn, I need more clients, and then start. So you're on this roller coaster the whole time. So what we did was we put in a $10,000 cold market offer, a front end offer, 100% money back guarantee. Okay. And because he was like, well, if I can't help them with this, there's no point in even doing anything further. And so what started happening was that his sales cycles went from 3 to 6 months down to 2 to 4 weeks, right? We then put a visual diagram together on how he helps people get from point A to point B. So he'd sell the cold market offer, the front end piece for 10 grand. He'd implement that over 2 days. So it's a really quick implementation. And then he'd show them, right, in order for us to achieve these goals that we set in this 2 days, I've got a whole process that'll get you from point A to point B. And then his back end offer, which now became his main offer, has now gone from 75K a year to 150K a year.
Yeah, and it's staggered, so it still doesn't feel huge. Yeah.
And also, they're not trying to get through red tape and through board meetings, because you're speaking to the CEO. He can say yes on a 10 grand offer without blinking. And then when he sees the value, he's like, oh my God, I need to get this approved. Like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, a little. I don't know if you call this a mnemonic. No, maybe it's just a saying. But smaller promises get bigger conversions, and people trying to promise the world over a 12-month period are going to find it difficult. People that can make a small promise that can be delivered over 48 hours are going to get a yes more often.
Yeah, or even over 30 days or 45 days or 90 days or whatever. So we've been using that in our business as well, and it's just taking conversions like next level.
So let's go to this third bit. And it's interesting, by the way, guys and gals, that Matt's gone from audience to offer. Now, I know lots of people, and this has happened for our clients. We've seen them do it again and again. They jump onto a platform like LinkedIn and they go, here's my offer. And then they can't find an audience to quite match. You're better off trying to making sure that that audience is on LinkedIn, as Matt's going to show you. And then you can craft the message to match that audience, and then you're going to get a better result. All right, ad funnels.
Exactly. Cool. So the ad funnels, there's two specific funnels that we see that are absolutely crushing that. We keep it super simple, which is an event funnel. So if you're running a webinar or a live training, we typically see that needs to be between 45 and 60 minutes max, and then a lead magnet funnel, right? So webinar registrations, lead magnet funnel, direct. I'll walk through those.
I'm personally finding this very exciting because I said before, I know a whole bunch of people have told me that you can't promote webinars on LinkedIn and get a return on investment because the leads are too expensive. I've heard that.
Oh, we crushed it
50 times.
So yeah, there's two ways you can do it. So if you're advertising direct to webinar, they are more expensive. You're kind of looking between $30 and $80 a webinar registration. But even then, that's not too bad, right? If you do it the other way around, so what we were doing is we put a lead magnet out there. They would then download the lead magnet. So we get like $12 to $20 per lead magnet download, and then auto registering them for the webinar that's coming up.
Okay.
Right. So there's another way that you can do it.
Nice. We do something similar. We run ads that then redirect to a webinar registration page. But I can see that how on LinkedIn, because there are all sorts of integrations with events on LinkedIn, that you can do that, and people will find it. It'll feel a lot more seamless.
Yeah, so we tested out two ways. The one way was an auto register once they downloaded it. So they go to a thank you page, and then it would say, congratulate, and we shot a video on this as well, and say, cool, thanks for downloading it. As a part of this, we've registered for you for the live upcoming training, which will show you how to implement this. And then the second way that we tested was to actually ask them. It was like, hey, you've downloaded this. Would you like to join the training which goes through this? And we found that actually just auto registering them, telling them like, listen, book this in your diary, we're taking you through this, worked way better than asking them.
Well, there you go. That's something that I'll be experimenting with over the next month or so. Watch this space.
It's got to tell people what to do, man. They don't have to think about stuff. They're like, yeah, I need this. Okay, what do I need to do now?
Yeah, excellent.
So when we dive into the right clients, how we target on LinkedIn, and especially with ads, is pretty awesome because you can get so specific. Now, when people talk about, Facebook ads and YouTube ads and talking about they can get, $3 leads, $5 leads, I'm like, okay, but what you have to do is you've got to take a shotgun approach, go wide, and then, slowly get smaller and smaller and smaller. And hopefully your funnel is good enough that it actually qualifies them out so you get something good at the end of it. LinkedIn, I can say, okay, cool. What industry do I want? What is the company size? What job title? How long have they been there? I can target by their company revenue as well, the number of team members in there. So I'm like, I'll pay $30 to $50 for that lead every single day because I'm putting my ad in front of the exact right person that I'm looking for.
And not only that, I love it when you can say in your ad, are you this type of person? Or because you're this type of person. It's no different for me. I could walk through a crowded, busy shopping mall and yell out, hey, you, and no one turns around. If I say, hey, Matt suddenly, sits up and turns around. This is no different. Are you an architect? Yes, I am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you what this looks like now in an ad when we test it, right? When we test the message. Because the next piece is the layered targeting. So you've heard of company demographics and psychographics, right? Everyone's heard of that. You need to know your psychographics, who the person is, how they think. You need to have your demographics, which is their physical attributes. The third piece that we bring out on LinkedIn is called company graphics.
Ooh,
right?
Nice.
Which is, I know, it's pretty sexy, yeah. And this is really the company size, the number of staff members, company revenue. So what happens is when you get your psychographics and your demographics dialed in, you get the exact person that you're looking for. When you get your demographics and your company graphics right, then you get your company, the exact company that you're looking for. And when you combine the person and the company, that becomes your perfect client that you are going after.
Love it.
All right. And so how we get there on the psychographics is through the next stage, which is the message. And we've got two ways in which we do this. Number one is called the Ask campaign. So this is where essentially what you do is you go out and you interview your ideal clients. And what you're doing, we've got a whole process, the 4P framework. We've got the whole script and everything. So we've pre-written this whole thing out, where literally you go and you interview past clients, existing clients, and potential clients and you're diving deep into what are the pains that they're going through, what are the fears keeping them up at night, their goals and desires. And what this does is it tells you what they are looking for, because we can do one of two things. We can thumb suck and put some stuff out there and hope that it's going to hit the marketplace, or we can ask people what's going on in their world and just solve those problems, right? Now, typically what we see on this process is that when people do this, if they interview 10 people, about 50% of them will actually ask, well, hey, can you help me solve this problem? And it'll turn into a sales qualified lead.
Yeah. It's funny that you just ask your audience a question like, is this a problem that you have, or, whatever. And then they go, yeah, I do have that problem. Perhaps you're the person who can help me with that. Well, duh.
Exactly. And here you go really deep on it. So at the end of it, they're like, that really hurt. So we've got a saying, when you go deep on the pain, you want to stick the knife in, twist it, and then throw salt on it. Get them to feel it. So that's the manual way of doing it. The other way of doing it, where we run ads, looks like this. If I get that one right. So
if you are listening to this, for example, you're listening to the podcast, there will be a link underneath the recording where you can find the vision to go with it. As a participant in our B2B sales and marketing summit, or maybe some other secret places that only Matt and I know about. But if you are listening to this and you are interested about what's going on the screen, there'll be a link underneath this recording.
Beautiful. So as you'll see here, our targeting becomes very specific. Okay, so B2B sales directors is who we've targeted on these. And when we dive deeper into the targeting, I can show you what that looks like in a moment as well. But it's literally all the targeting criteria that I showed you plus company revenue. So what we were looking for here is we were testing a very basic color match here. And what this is designed for is designed to break attention, to capture attention, to break the scrolling pattern. Now, what we're testing is the basic message. So we came up with a bunch of messages, and what we're looking for is what we call the gold coins. What are the messages that are standing out, that are resonating with people the most, that they're actually clicking on, so that we can test on a very small budget? I mean, you can see we got a spend of $65 here. We can test on a very small budget and get the messages that people are actually interested in.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one was focused specifically for impressions. So the goal was to hit 400 impressions, which we did for most of these. 400 impressions, $3, right? And then you even look at the clicks.
Some of them got clicks, some of them didn't get click, but that wasn't the goal here by the looks of it.
$65 spent, 17 clicks. Average click-through rate, 0.21%.
So what's 65 divided by 17?
2, 3, 4. It's about $4 or $5.
$4 or $5
$5
for
bucks.
Yeah, which is terrific, because if you have a page that converts 1 in 3 or 1 in 4, 25% conversion rate on the landing page, you're spending less than $20 to get a lead.
Exactly. And so you see, when we start diving deeper into this as well, this one we scheduled for website visits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So spend $85 and you take a look at this, right? 16, 21 website visits, 20 website visits, 14, 21, 18.
I'm looking at the cost per result. That's insane.
It's insane, like 20, 30 cents cost per result.
Yep. That's
right?
that is very, very cheap. When you say website visits, can that be a landing page, or does that specifically have to be a website?
It can be a landing page. But remember, the purpose of this is not to run the ads to this. The purpose of this is to understand your gold coins.
Yeah.
So we know what exact messages we can run, so that when we do pour money into ads, we know that we're going to get the cheapest possible lead cost for the best quality lead.
I just can't help my brain leaping.
I know, right? It's so exciting. It's so exciting. So that brings us, so that's the message piece, right? The manual piece and the running the ads piece, which I've shown you there. The second part of this is your cold market offer. So, we've created a worksheet on this where it gets really specific. What's the product, the format, the audience, what are the outcomes they get? What do they actually get? The tools, the resources, how to support work, their scarcity, urgency, bonuses, guarantees, and pricing.
I'm going to highlight something about this worksheet that Matt's got on the page there. For anyone that's looking at this for the first time, I want you to notice that there are 6 different boxes that are all about outcomes. And here's the problem. Someone says, what do? You say what you do. You say, hire me, pay me money. And they say, what do I get? And what we do is we end up talking about the tools and the resources and the support. And I go, that's exactly interesting. But the reality is when they say, what do you get? We want to be talking about the outcomes that they get. Outcomes, things, and feelings. And those things, the what, the tools, the resources, the support, they are really just reassurances that the person's going to get the outcomes. These are the path, the means to an end, which is why there's 6 at the top. And then we've only got a couple boxes for what's, and then we've got scarcity, urgency, and bonuses, and guarantees, and pricing.
100%. Like, people don't care how you get them to the result. It's like, can you get me there faster and easier than what I can do myself?
Yeah.
So if you can do that and you can make it easy, and when you're aligning that market to message match, and especially when we work with coaches and consultants who've got a ton of experience, and I look at everything they do and they've got this huge list of everything they do, your cold market offer should solve one problem for them. One to 3 problems max, that takes off the biggest headaches off of their plate, that you can charge between $3,000 to $5,000 for, or $3,000 to $10,000 for, if you're working with a bigger company, right? So you're asking yourself, what is the first piece of the puzzle that I can take off their plate that's going to be a low risk? Even if you can give 100% money back guarantee on it, even better, because your idea is not to make money off the front end off of these cold market offers. You'll make some money and they'll pay for ads and you'll have a bit of change left over. But the goal is that if you can get people coming into this, then we start shifting our thinking from how do we make money on the front end to how do we create lifetime value? And that's a much bigger conversation, because even if I lose money on the front end, but I've got a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 product on the back end, and people are staying with me year on year on year, that's where the magic is. And that's where you get a sustainable business that you can grow.
Yeah, when people say to us, they say, how much should I spend on marketing? Right? How much should I spend on marketing? And that comes down to the size of your business. But I usually say if you're turning over less than like 60K or less than 100K, you probably can only spend somewhere between like 3 and 10% of what you bring in on marketing. As you get bigger, you probably want to take 20% of all your revenue and put it into marketing. But there's a point around the $300,000 mark where I believe that you should be taking 100% of your first sale and allocating that to marketing, which is exactly what Matt's saying.
Amazing.
You might have a $5,000 up front and you go, what? I'm going to allocate that to marketing. Yep. You're going to put that back into your marketing pot. But, and then you can outspend all the competition. You can scale up in all sorts of wonderful ways, because that first sale is not how you're making money. That sale is about winning the client.
Absolutely. And it's interesting when you talk about those numbers. So we talk about, especially in the offer, there comes a time where you reach what we call the pivot point, right? So most, especially in the B2B coaching and consulting stages, like what most people do is they've got a skill and they're really good at delivering it, and they go out and they get clients. And what happens is that my wife's like crawling on the floor here to not walk behind the camera. It's hilarious.
You can walk through.
Well done, baby.
Give us a wave.
So, so what happens is that, they go out and they start delivering their services, they get clients, and they pretty much work out as on an hourly rate, right? They pay $5,000 and you get, 6 1-hour sessions or whatever it is. And they reach a stage, and it typically happens around the $50,000 a month mark, the $40,000 to $50,000 a month mark, where you get that saturation, you reach a saturation point, right? Where you physically can't take on more clients because you can't actually deliver without something breaking. So at that stage, they've created themselves a glorified job instead of a business that gives them the control, the security, the time and location freedom. So we start looking, when people get to that, $40,000 to $50,000 a month mark, that they've got to start shifting their offer to create something that is more leveraged, right? Whether that is a group program, or whether, we take them through actually systematizing their offer so that they can bring other people in to deliver the front parts of it so that they can focus on the high level strategic parts of it, right?
And
when you do that,
I'm also just thinking here, this is actually interesting. It's very meta, because Matt is a LinkedIn guy, helps people with LinkedIn, but I can see that there's a big picture that he's able to help people with. But if Matt came in and stepped into your world and said, I'm going to help you reinvent your offer, you're going to say, take a hike, Matt. But if he says, I'm going to help you with LinkedIn, that there is a lower barrier. Anyway, it's my brain catching up again.
This is actually leading straight back to what I was saying about your message. You see, because people don't come to us to solve all of their business problems, right? And, because of our experience and what we've done in the years, we actually look at it as an end-to-end system. So I look at your leads, which is your message, your market and your offer. I look at your sales, which is your process, your systems and your delivery. And then we look at how do we scale it through ads. But if I went into the marketplace and said, cool, we do all of this stuff, people would be like, you and every other business coach out there, like, what makes you different? But when we come in and we say we focus specifically on LinkedIn ads, people are like, oh, I need that. And when we get in there, we're like, okay, so let's now look at the pieces of the puzzle that you need to have in the right place so that these things are going to be a success. In which case, sometimes it's like, okay, we actually need to start on your offer, or we actually need to start getting your message right, or we actually need to start here in order for this to work. And then that brings lifetime value. Instead of me just going, blah, this is all the stuff we do.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I meet people all the time. What do you do? Transformation services, growth solutions. And I'm like, what? If there's once again, smaller promises deliver faster results,
exactly.
Faster conversions.
And if you say transformation services in Thailand, it has a very different meaning.
You can tell me what that means off camera by the look on your face. What's our next slide? What are we up to next in the limited amount of time that we've got?
Perfect. So the two funnels that are absolutely crushing it. Number one is the lead magnet funnel. So very simple is that we have a lead magnet. So something of value that solves your ideal client's biggest problem. So we've gone through getting that message, that market match really dialed in. Now it's about, let's put it out there and start generating some leads. We've got the gold coins. We can see what's working. So now you have there's two ways that we do this. So either do it on a lead form or an ad that goes directly to a landing page. Okay, and we test both of them. We see the lead forms get the cheaper costs, but they sometimes don't go through the whole part of the funnel.
I've noticed this as well too. You need people to be engaged. If they're not engaged, they're not going to keep following through the steps. And I have noticed that with Facebook as well too. Yeah. Cheaper when they use the lead form, better when they use your own landing page. And in a moment,
exactly.
Matt, after we stop hitting record, I'm going to show you the highest converting landing page in our world right now, and it's going to blow your mind. So we go for a
Amazing.
tactic where we have something that runs through their feed.
Yes.
Do you ever run the ads that go into their inboxes?
No,
No. Interesting.
I don't like those.
We've tried it once, didn't like it either. All right, cool.
Nah, I don't like it. We just go straight for either lead form ad or single ad image. Keep it super simple because, people are busy, right? It's not YouTube where we're coming and you've got to have message to, and also like be aware of the platform. So Facebook, people are sitting there scrolling. YouTube, people are sitting there watching videos. TikTok, I don't know, watching people dance or whatever it is. So you make it relevant to the platform. LinkedIn is a professional network, so you treat it like that. People are coming in because they're looking to network. They're looking for solutions. They're looking for suppliers. They're looking for clients. So they want to get down to it and to the point. Make it simple. Make it easy for them to do that. Right?
Yeah.
And then what we found is over here, like you always get people that take action and they take the next step or they don't take the next step. So we introduced a setter into our business, which will actually pick up the phone and phone every single person that registers, that downloads this lead magnet. And we then found that now your cost per lead drops because you're making better use of every single lead that comes in.
Cool. And for those who are just listening, we target the person, we run an ad that runs down someone's feed, points to a landing page, you get the lead. There's an invitation after they opt in to register for a webinar or book a meeting.
This particular one goes straight to a VSL. So the thank you page is a VSL that gets them to book a call. VSL is between 7 and 12 minutes.
Cool. And then we have a qualification call where a qualification form if they want to book a meeting with you. And then in the background, we have all the different emails and follow-ups and the setters giving them a call and all that cool stuff. My business partner, John, is Greek. He says, I run a Greek kitchen. And that means that there's no leftovers.
100%.
Everything goes back in the pot to create a new food or whatever it is. Yeah. No leftovers.
There's something interesting that we do that I don't know if you guys are using, but what we do is we actually include voice notes into our sales process. And we find that voice notes get a higher open rate. So as people connect, and we've got this whole thing automated. So people download the thing, then we'll automatically connect with them on LinkedIn. And the first thing they get is not a direct message, it's actually a voice note.
Huh, that's cool. Yeah,
right? And then we connect with text, and then it sends them a text as well, SMS.
Love it.
So by the time someone phones them, they've had multiple touch points. They've spoken to us a few times before we actually even call them. And then we find when they get on the call, we don't get like, the bad response of like, oh my God, why are you calling me? They're actually like, thanks for following up.
Yeah.
I really wanted this. I just got busy, usual story.
Yeah. Or, they're doing it at 9 o'clock at night, they're on their second glass of wine, and then you follow up the next day and they're grateful. So that there was the lead magnet funnel. This is the event funnel, huh? This is
the event funnel. Now I've completely simplified this, right? Because if I showed you the whole event funnel, I think people would get scared and run away, as to where we've got it right now. But this is the basis of it, right? 3 stages: sign up, show up, pay up, right? So you run ads, you do direct invites, you do emails, whatever it is, get people to sign up to the event. Now you can set up the event on LinkedIn, but you want to get it to a landing page, and then you get them to auto register for that actual event. So they get the reminders, they get into your CRM, you start the conversation. They then accept. Once again, we follow up with the direct message on LinkedIn, which will probably be a voice note to get them to show up. We then add in a phone call beforehand as well. And very often we see on average about 15% of the people that register will book a sales call before we even run the webinar.
Yeah, we get something similar.
Amazing. And it's a winner. And it's almost like the webinar that doesn't matter,
Yeah.
And
now I'm going to ask, have you got, I'm going to lean on you. We've got some great slides here. Either do you mind making these slides available to our peeps, or do you have some sort of resource or roadmap that you like to give away to new people to bring them into your world?
Man, I'm happy to, share these slides as well. It's no problem.
I just want to make sure that that anyone that's looking at this can look a little bit more closely if they need to. But I also want to make sure that I create some sort of way for you to enter Matt's world by maybe opting in for one of his free resources or lead magnets or something like that as well too.
Yeah, I've got a couple of resources as well that I can share. We've got some good stuff. I've got case studies. I've got all sorts of stuff. So I can give you a couple of resources that if people want to, come and start checking some stuff out, that they're welcome to jump in and come interact with us.
So guys and girls, even if you don't know what it is, you're going to click that link because you know it's going to be good. So what I would just want to do is just to sum up there were three different elements here. There were three different elements. One was the audience, one was the offer, and one was the ad funnel. But what I really did love about this is often I interview someone like Matt, and while we're here today talking about the three things that you need to get right if you want to run a successful LinkedIn advertising campaign. And you saw into the back end, you saw how the tool works, how you can search audiences, run to those audiences, test the ads. But what I really love about it when I meet with, have a conversation with someone like Matt, is all the deeper stuff, which relates to how to run a business as a whole, which I believe is more meaningful. So any final words of wisdom or advice for the people that are just getting into this stuff for the first time?
Yeah, so the best thing that I would say, and this is something that most B2B, I'm going to say people in general, skip over and they don't do it properly. Even if you're doing $30 or $40 or $50,000 a month, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year, people skip this piece and it actually lands up hurting them in the long run. And it's this. Spend time doing your market research. Spend time diving deep into your ideal clients' biggest pain points, the fears that are keeping them up at night, their goals, dreams, desires. And don't just do it once, do it again and again and again. Integrate it as put it as an integral part of your business, of your sales process. I tell you, we run these ask campaigns even now, 7 years down the line. Anytime we're testing a new angle, anytime we're testing a new offer, anytime before we even launch anything, we run these ask interviews, we run polls, we ask what do people want, and then we create the thing that they want. And inevitably what happens is you land up picking up clients while you're doing it anyways. So I would say that people getting into this for the first time, spend majority of your time there. Because, and like we showed you, it's the biggest piece that's going to make this thing successful, not just now, but in the long run, and for whatever else that you do going forward.
People think that marketing is about what you do. No, it's not. They think it's about the infrastructure, like the things that we saw. No, it's not about that either. Marketing is about understanding their headaches, their obstacles, their aspirations, desires, speaking their language so that they fall over themselves to get into your world. That is successful marketing. And Matt, this has been really interesting for me. I think that we're kindred spirits when it comes to our approach to marketing. So thank you for jumping on this call.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It was super, super cool. And I love the alignments and we're speaking the same language there.
Woohoo!